Third base preview on Friday, January 19th. Is Austin Riley, Jose Ramirez worth a first-round pick? Prospects to stash, and more coming up on Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. All right, welcome everybody. And before we start, if you could please hit that like and subscribe button in the corner, you'll see our QR code that'll take you to all of our social medias. We appreciate the follows. Let's get right into it because third base is actually pretty deep this season. So got a lot of names to talk about, and I don't think we're going to have time to get past maybe like the top 12. If we do, we can kind of go over some extras at the end. All right, so number one at the third base spot is Jose Ramirez. Now, a few seasons ago, Jose Ramirez was, he was the top third baseman without a doubt. But there's some guys that are kind of like right on his heels this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I remember he was pretty much in a league by himself. It was every year was Jose Ramirez, and like you said, the third base position is pretty deep this year, man. It's crazy. I would say maybe like the last 2 years, it's been kind of weak. So we would always, tell people pick up your third baseman as early as you can because he's like one of those positions where it's like maybe like a catcher, or like in football, it'd be like a tight end. Those guys are very scarce. So this year, man, if you're like in a 10-man league, let's say, you got a pretty good chance to pick up one of these guys, man. Depending on how you play out your draft. But yeah, Ramirez, dude, he's been one of those consistent guys every year. He's always, at least top 3 in his position. But I'm not gonna go into it, but the guy right after him, dude, you can like interchange both of them very easily.
Yeah, I feel like definitely Jose Ramirez in points leagues because his plate discipline is so good. 10.6% K rate, which is 98th percentile. That was 73 walks last season and 10.6% walk. Oh, sorry, that was 73 strikeouts last season. 10.6% walk rate, 73 as well. So exactly the same. He had 73 walks to 73 strikeouts. And when you have similar or a little bit more walks and strikeouts, that's when like you're pretty elite in the plate discipline department. Batting average was 282. Expected batting average was 299. So he underperformed just a little bit, but it's not too bad. It's only off by like 17 points or so. Dude, I don't know if you use Baseball Savant at all. I sent you over some notes, but this dude's page, StatCast, is filled with red. Red is good. Elite contact rate, really good plate discipline. Dude, good plate discipline in points leagues is gold, man. And then you add his 90 mile per hour exit velocity and 20 stolen bases every season. That gives you a 25 homer, 20 to 25 stolen bases every single season, close to 300 hitter. His Achilles heel is the bad lineup. The Guardians just don't have the same lineup that they did back in 2015 when they went to the World Series. Lindor is gone. There's too many players that are just gone now. And Jose Ramirez is kind of like the one that just stands out. He's really the only one that's actually worth like, a pretty high pick. His launch angle dipped a little bit from last season. So in 2022, his launch angle was 20.7, but in 2023, it was 18. But 18 is still considered really good. You're still going to hit some home runs with that. Exit velocity was normal. His max EV was down a little bit, 3 miles per hour. That's not so bad. He's still hitting the ball 110 miles an hour sometimes. My take, I think you got a great hitter with some speed hitting in the middle of a bad lineup. And
that's unfortunate.
The Guardians only scored 662 runs in 2023. That's fourth worst in MLB. So you can understand why the counting stats really weren't there for Jose Ramirez last season. 87
Yeah.
runs and 80 RBI. He did have
Yeah.
36 doubles, so
Yeah. I
35
saw that.
doubles, that's elite, man. So and
Dude.
28 stolen bases. And
Yeah.
now with the bigger bases and only being able to pick off a few times, per at bat, the stolen bases, I feel like it should have grown a little bit for Jose Ramirez, but he's kind of like right on par with like his kind of typical season. So he didn't really run
Yeah.
any more or less than he did in previous seasons. But he
Yeah.
is getting a little older. He's going to be 31, I believe, next season.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like the legs slowed down a little bit, but it also doesn't look like he's trying to exceed, what he's done in previous seasons before.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, the older you get, the more you want to take care of your body, the more you're more cautious about the things that you do. You know,
Yeah,
I
especially when
I
you're on a
looked at
team.
I looked at his previous years, and the stolen bases they're pretty much up to where you would see, where he would be at. So the stolen bases doesn't really bother me. The batting average is kind of weird because he's always up there like in the 300s, man. So
Yeah, he
you
had
know,
those like two really bad seasons a few seasons
mhm,
ago. And I
yeah,
believe it was like he came back from injury and he just wasn't the same guy. And he finished the season terribly, came into the
hmm
following season and was still really bad, except for like the final like 2 months of the season. I think that was back in like 2019 or something. So it was a few years
yeah,
ago. But since then, he's kind of like caught up to being back to like the Jose Ramirez that we remember, like when the Guardians were actually good, when
yeah.
they were
I
Indians
agree.
still.
Yep, yep. But yeah, man, he's one of those dudes that like in points league, across the board, he's that's that's like gold right there, for a third baseman.
Yeah, with that type of plate discipline, usually third basemen are like the type of guys that are just like all power and
Yep,
maybe
strike
a
out a
little bit of
lot.
batting average, and that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm
Um, Kind of like our next guy that I want to talk about, which is the second third baseman coming off the board. I'm going to put this graphic up real quick so everyone can see this. So this is tier one. We already talked about Jose Ramirez, and now we got Austin Riley coming up. So Austin Riley, third baseman for the Atlanta Braves, right-handed batter. Current ADP is at number 18, so he's going at like the middle of the second round. Big dude. He's not that tall, 6'3", which is kind of average for baseball, but 240 pounds. So
Yeah.
this is a big dude, and he's got some big power in his bat. 37 home runs to go along with his 281 batting average, 117 runs scored with 97 RBI. Great counting stats. Now, between the two guys, I really like Jose Ramirez in points leagues because of the plate discipline.
Mhm.
Austin Riley's plate discipline, it's not that great. His walk rate is fine. It's actually about the MLB average, but his strikeout percentage is above 20%. It's at 24.1 last season. But other than that, man, like I really don't think he has any other weaknesses. If he can cut that strikeout rate down a little bit,
Yeah,
he's a bona fide first round pick for
yeah, definitely,
seasons to come.
definitely. Yeah, 32 doubles too. I mean, the it's funny. With Riley, I was never a fan up until recently. I don't know why. He never really caught my eye. But man, like last season, 37 home runs, 97 RBIs, hitting over 280 is like it's like I said earlier when we were talking about Ramirez, like you can easily interchange those two guys. Like
Yeah.
if I had the opportunity to grab Riley before Ramirez, I would have a problem doing that. I think they both land, in the same category. Um, that's just me personally. But yeah, man, the strikeouts are they're up there, but the guy's young. What is he, like 26, I believe?
I believe he's 26. Yeah.
Yeah,
26 last season. So he's going to be going into his age 27 season.
so I mean, he still has plenty of time to work on, plate discipline, and he can. I don't see him. I can easily see him taking over that first spot and for third baseman, easy.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, I was kind of making comparisons to Austin Riley in my head, a few days ago, and the one guy that I can compare him to the most is Nolan Arenado in his prime in Colorado. And this
Right.
is a guy that's hitting 37 home runs in Atlanta,
Hmm.
without that Colorado effect to kind of
Yeah.
help him out. So
Yeah.
close to 300 hitter, close to 40 home runs. Um, Chase rate is good. Walk rate is good. Hits the ball super hard, dude. 92.3 average exit velocity, 116.1 max exit velocity. That is elite right there, man. That's like 450-foot bombs, like
Yeah.
almost leaving the stadium type of home runs. OPS in the high 800s. He's a righty bat, but he hits righties and lefties about the same. 280 versus lefties and 290 versus righties. Most of his power comes actually against righties. 26 home runs versus righties, which is very weird because he is a righty bat.
Yeah.
So
We
a
were
lot of
talking
his
about
power
this
is,
last week.
yeah, we were talking about this in the second base position. Like
Yeah.
there's so many elite hitters that are honing in on their craft to be better against the same handed pitcher as they are batter.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
seems like
It's
whatever they're
weird.
doing is working because we're seeing somewhat of a trend. A lot of these
Yeah.
guys that the power just comes from that side. Maybe that it's just easier to pull the ball. An inside pitch, a righty pitcher to a righty batter, an inside pitch, you pull it and it's just gone. Especially when you're hitting the
Yeah.
ball 92.3 miles an hour on it on average. You know,
Yep. That's
uh,
insane.
75% of the league are righties. So all the power coming against righties, that's why he got that 37 home runs. If
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going to change my strategy when it comes to fantasy baseball, whether it's points or categories. I think I just want to change it up a little bit and see how it is. Usually I go for more well-rounded players. A guy like Jose Ramirez, who's probably going to hit 25 home runs with 25 stolen bases. I think I'm going for power this year, dude. I'm going to
Yeah.
pass up guys like that, and I'm going after guys like Austin Riley that's going to hit close to 40 home runs with a decent batting average.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
past, I've never really been like that before. I'm like chasing categories, like
Right.
in my first round, I want to make sure I get like a really good batting average specialist, and
Yeah.
then in my second pick, I want to make sure I get home runs, and then my third pick, I want to make sure I get stolen bases, something like that in
Yeah.
categories leagues. Points league is
Right. Right.
completely. But
Yeah.
this year, I think I'm going to look for home runs everywhere I can. When I'm in my draft, I'm going to try to look like, see who sticks out at me. Kind of look like maybe 20 spots before that, if there's still 20 players like ahead of him in ADP, and 20 spots below. And I'm just kind of like, I'm looking for power,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. That's not a bad strategy, nowadays, because there's a lot of guys that can hit for power, but then they can hit for average and they can get you runs. And then it's so crazy. There's so many well-rounded players nowadays, but don't give out too much info, bro, because I might take that approach. But
yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
man.
it's like when you do fantasy for so long, sometimes you want to change it up a little bit,
Yeah.
because it can get a little stagnant sometimes. Like it's still fun, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to try something a little bit new this year, and
Yeah.
I think I'm doing 3 leagues this season, so maybe I'll do one of those category leagues where I'm just all power, and then another categories league that I'm in, I'll try to do like more balanced players, and then in the points, I'm just chasing points. So
Yeah.
completely different points. I'm looking for low strikeouts, high walk rate, good batting average, some decent power. Stolen bases don't really matter too much in a points league, unless they're stealing 70 bases like Ronald Acuna, because that's 70 points,
Yeah. 70
And when a
points.
guy at the end
Yeah.
of the season is scoring 580 points versus 510 points, like that's a pretty significant difference, especially in the standings at the
Yeah.
end. All
Yeah,
right, so
definitely. Yeah.
Next guy we want to talk about is the number 3 third baseman coming off the board, and that's Rafael Devers from the Boston Red Sox. Third baseman, lefty bat. Current ADP is 19, which is only one spot behind Austin Riley. And dude, all three of these guys have upside to be first round picks. You know, any one of these guys could potentially just break past guys that are going before them in the draft. And dude, Rafael Devers has been doing it for so long, man. Very, very consistent hitter. A little bit lucky in 2022. He batted 295, which was a little bit higher than his expected batting average. But 2023 is kind of like more true to his like career stats. A 271 batting average. XBA was at a 282. So pretty similar. 93.1 average exit velocity. That's what we were talking about with Austin Riley. Just hits the ball so hard. 115 max exit velocity. Has a 55.1% hard hit rate. So this guy is hitting the ball more than half the time over 90 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
That is just crazy to me, dude. His quality of contact is so good, but
yeah,
he has the same Achilles heel as Jose Ramirez. He's just not in the best lineup, you know. It's so weird to see the Red Sox just like not really do anything in the offseason. You know, they've signed some guys in the past few years. They got Trevor Story, they got Chris Sale, who they just traded away to the Braves. They got the Dodgers leftovers and Justin Turner, and he didn't even play third base for them because Devers has third base locked up. So he played some first, some second, you know. But Justin Turner is also 38 years old, almost 39 years old, and he did score a lot of points last season, but he doesn't have third base eligibility next season because Devers had that locked up. So next season, he's only going to have first base eligibility, which, you know, kind of sucks for a guy like that because
they got
batting average specialist, you know, and first base is kind of deep too. Like we talked about first base a couple weeks ago, and there's a lot of first basemen out there. So Justin Turner,
who's the first baseman for the Red Sox? Tristan, right?
Tristan Casas. Yeah, they tried Bobby Dahlbeck a few seasons ago, but he just didn't really like pan out. Low batting average, didn't really have the home run power that they were expecting from him. But dude, Tristan Casas. We talked about this on the first base podcast. That's my sleeper, man. I'm all in on Tristan Casas this year. I think
he looked good, man.
I think a breakout is coming.
Dude, I don't know why. It's weird. Sometimes I feel like Devers and Ramirez is overlooked a lot. Like he's not in the news often, maybe because the Sox aren't such a great team, like years past, but his stats are just stacked every year, man. So definitely if he's up there and you need a third baseman, like Devers all day.
Yeah, honestly, like these three players right here, you know what the floor is. You know, like if they're going to have their worst season they've ever had, it's still going to be really freaking good. You know, they have a very high floor. And Jose Ramirez, I feel like we've seen his ceiling. You know, I think we've seen the best of Jose Ramirez already. But Rafael Devers and Austin Riley, I think that these guys could potentially get a little bit better. Austin Riley, we said he's going into his age 27 season. Rafael Devers, same thing. He's going into his age 27 season. These two guys are going back to ADP 18 and 19. You know, you got a righty bat versus a lefty bat, but, you know, both of them hit righties and lefties about the same. I think the thing that separates Riley and Devers apart is Riley's just in a way better lineup. You know, as you can see from the counting stats, Rafael Devers had 33 home runs with only 90 runs scored and 100 RBI. And when you're hitting 35 home runs, you should be getting a lot more than that. You should be getting a lot more runs, scoring a lot more runs, and getting a lot more RBI. He should be at like at least 100 runs, 115 RBI. But unfortunately, with the Red Sox, you know, this is the guy that you build around. You know,
Yeah.
they're not really
Yeah.
building around him. So
Yeah.
I
That's
know
why a lot
some,
of guys are. That's why a lot of guys are leaving, man.
yeah, and the Red Sox
You
have
know.
money, you know,
Yeah,
and
they
it's
do.
why aren't you spending? Why aren't you buying these guys and letting all these other teams kind of they must be planning something, dude. They must be
Yeah.
planning
Yeah.
something for the future. I don't know, but you're
You
wasting
know,
prime
it's
Rafael
it's
Devers right now.
it's funny. I had a conversation with one of the guys at work about this. I saw this video where everybody's mad because off topic. The guy, everybody's mad that the Dodgers are spending all this money, to get these players, and they're like, why can't our team, like they should put a tax, thing, whatever, and this and that, and it's like it has nothing to do with that. It's just your teams have money, they just don't want to spend. That's
Yeah,
what it is. It has nothing to do with the luxury tax or any of that stuff, dude. It's just the owners want to bring a champion to a team. They're gonna do whatever it takes, plain and simple. You know.
yep,
So, yeah, the Red Sox, I know they got money because they used to have a deep ass lineup, and now it's like, they're taking, they got some, good pieces, in the minors and stuff like that, but their pitching is not great, and I always feel like they're signing all these older players, and it's
yeah,
like you don't want to get older, you want to get younger.
yeah.
You want to
It's like when
find,
they signed
those
Kenley Jansen, and Kenley
yeah,
Jansen was kind
exactly.
of like already like declining, and then you go after
Yeah.
this closer who used to be elite, you know, but his
Hmm.
the velocity on his cutter is down a little bit. It doesn't cut like it used
Yeah.
to. I actually heard Kenley Jensen's on the trade block, so maybe they're just in rebuild mode right now, which really sucks
Yeah.
for 26-year-old Rafael Devers because a rebuild usually takes 3 or 4 years, sometimes even a little bit longer, and that's if it pans out. You know, so I
Yeah.
don't know when Rafael Devers is actually going to be a free agent. I don't think it's in 2024. I don't think it's the end of the season. I think he has at least one more season, unless he had signed an extension. But
Yeah.
yeah, it just sucks that he's in a bad lineup, man. And
Yeah.
I feel like the Red Sox could do a lot, but they're I know they've traded away some players. They traded away Chris Sale, got some prospects. They
Yeah.
I believe they got Vaughn Grissom, you know, who was supposed to be like
Yeah, I did hear that.
the next good shortstop for the Braves. Um, and uh, they also traded away Alex Verdugo to the Yankees, and they got some prospects back for him. So it looks like they are in rebuild mode right now. But what are you going to
Mhm.
do with Devers? You know, are you going to wait until he's close to free agency and then try to trade him away?
Trade.
You know,
Yeah.
it, man,
I mean,
it's
for somebody like that, they would get a haul for sure.
oh yeah,
Um,
definitely, definitely. And
especially
right now,
at his age.
dude, what do we say about 27 years old, man?
It's
Man
man strength.
strength. Man
Yeah.
strength, man. So look out for Austin Riley and Rafael Devers. I would not be surprised if either one of those guys had a 40 homer, 290 batting average season. You know,
Yep.
great
I
counting stats. Even in a bad lineup, he's still going to score at least 90 runs, at least 100 RBI. And then Austin Riley, don't even worry about Austin Riley. That guy's going to be
no.
just fine. He's a stud.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
moving on to tier two. First guy in tier two is Manny Machado. Oh man, Manny Machado had a down season last year, but even in his down season, you see how many home runs he hit? 30 home
Yeah,
runs in a
30.
down
Yeah.
season for Manny Machado.
That's
258
a down.
batting average. Yeah, it came with a 258 batting average. Now that is the outlier for Manny Machado because Manny Machado is usually closer to like 290, even 300 some seasons. You know, he hasn't
Yeah.
had this batting average since looks like 2019 when he first joined the Padres. And you know, there's growing pains when you first join like a new team, you know, but the season after that he was 304 and then 278 and then 2022 he was at a 298 and then this season with the 258. Now, I
Yeah.
actually do have a little video that I want to show you. Nope, actually I did not upload the video. I'm sorry. I do have a different video that I can show later on a different player. But Manny Machado has been hindered by a couple things. So he's been playing with really bad tennis elbow since May of 2022. And, in 2022, Machado hit 32 home runs with a 298 batting average. He played through the pain, seemed like he was fine, but, come 2023, we see he got off to a little hot start. In March, he batted 286, which was actually a very small percentage because the beginning of the season started in late March. And then you see in April, batting average dropped to 233. In May, 217. In June is actually when he got hit by a pitch on his wrist. And we actually had an episode last season where we showed the video of Manny Machado getting hit on the wrist. And he was out of commission for a little while. He probably should have been out for a little while longer to maybe help his tennis elbow get a little bit better. He was out from, I believe it was mid-May until like beginning of June. So he took like 15 days off. Hit the 10-day IL, only took 15 days off. Probably should have taken a little bit more, but whatever. He comes back and he's looking good. In July, he batted 309, but he was fresh. I don't know if you've ever had tennis elbow. I have. And when you rest it for, a month or so, you feel great. Nothing's bothering you. But then when you start using your elbow again, all of a sudden the pain comes back within, a week, 2 weeks, something like that. So great batting average in July, but then it dipped down to 200. And then he hit the IL again, or maybe just took like a little bit, like a few days off. And then he comes back and he's hitting 321, So kind of all over the place. It looks like all he really needed was some rest, but he actually opted to have elbow surgery. So he just had elbow surgery back in October. I believe it was October 3rd last season or last year. Padres, they got bumped out of the playoffs pretty early. And Machado was like, well, if I'm going to get this done, I got to get it done now. He wants to come back strong next season. He wants to hit close to 300 again. So timeline for his surgery on his tennis elbow is about 4 to 6 months. So if it's 4 months, he's going to be ready right at the beginning of spring training. If it's 6 months, he'll be ready right at the beginning of the regular season. And he won't really have a spring training, unfortunately. So hopefully, we're hoping for the 4 months, but, wrong side of 30 takes a little bit longer to heal. But you know what? We saw the same thing with Bryce Harper. In his case, it was Tommy John. A little bit different, a way more extensive type of surgery. Machado's was, a little less strenuous on his body. So maybe we could see Machado come back, 4 months. I've actually heard managers like Bob Melvin and former players just say that Manny Machado is just so tough. So maybe it's possible he does come back at the 4 month. I know ADP has him a little bit low. He's at 42, but I believe in Manny Machado. I think that the only reason why he has had a down season is because that tennis elbow was just bothering him so much. Now that he's had the surgery to correct it, are we going to see what happened with Cody Bellinger, where he has surgery and then he's just crap for 2 years and then all of a sudden he's good again? Or are we going to see, like when Bryce Harper came back and he was still hitting for batting average, but he wasn't hitting for home runs for power for at least 2 months going into the season, because at the end of last season, Bryce Harper started looking like Bryce Harper again. The power came back. He was looking good.
I honestly hope that he takes the 6 months just because, like you said, recovery, your body, reacts different, to surgeries and injuries. And the older your body gets, the more time it takes for it to heal. If he doesn't have a spring training, it might hinder him a little bit, in the regular season. But, I would, if it was me, and I'm on the other side of 30 and I'm trying to help my team out for the long haul, I don't want to play half a season and then, be on, 2, 3, IL stints, at a time, or you know what I mean? So I want to be as healthy as possible. And I know Machado's one of those guys that is like, I want to help my team. I want to help them get out the gate quick, He's gonna try to do whatever it takes to play as soon as possible. That's how Machado is. You know, but as far as fantasy purposes go, I would I would just pick him up because, like you said, Machado is Machado, and I am a firm believer in Machado too. His attitude is ass sometimes. Let's be
It's
honest,
gotten
but
better. It's
yeah,
gotten better
yeah,
as he's gotten a little bit
yeah,
older.
and I hope it keeps getting better. Because the Padres are a very talented team. They got talent across the board. And if they want to make a postseason run, they're gonna need Machado. A fully healthy Machado, and maybe Carlos, you and myself, we always talk about how that team needs a leader, a spark. And Machado, we always looked at Machado as he might be that guy, and then
Because
yeah,
yeah,
he could, but then he reverts back to being cocky and young, and it just, I'm hoping that goes away and we start seeing a more mature Machado, um, somebody that can help the Padres like get to the postseason and make a run.
yeah,
So
yeah. He definitely should be the leader of the clubhouse. He's the best player on the team, besides Fernando Tatis. But you know, Tatis has had his own issues. The steroid scandal and the other stuff that was going on with Tatis in
yeah,
previous seasons. But Machado should be the guy. He should be the veteran in the clubhouse. He's the guy that has the big contract that the Padres put their trust in. He's the guy that the Dodgers traded for because they were trying to win the World Series in 2017, and
yeah,
or no, 2018. I'm sorry. Um, you said that maybe he should take the 6 months as a fantasy manager. Even if he does take the 6 months, if he's ready by opening day, I still have him fourth at the position, man. It's just
yeah,
I want him at the end of the season. I don't care what
yeah,
he plays like the first month of the season because no matter what, I'm making the playoffs. I make the playoffs every
right,
season.
yeah,
And the guys that I want are the ones that are going to perform at the end of the season.
the end of the season,
I could
right,
I could care less about what you do in the beginning. I can make it work. I can
right,
I can
right,
I can look on the waiver wire and figure out guys to drop and add and do whatever I need to do to try to make sure that I get into the playoffs. But the guys that are fantasy winners, guys like Machado, like those are the guys that you need on your roster. So even
yeah,
if he is a little bit behind schedule, I'm okay with that.
yeah,
I'm still
yep, I
taking
agree.
I'm still taking Machado over the next guy that I want to talk about, and that is Alex Bregman. So there's a lot of people that have Gunnar Henderson going before Alex Bregman. The thing is,
I'm so
like,
high on Gunner, dude. He's so good.
dude, Gunner's actually going before Manny Machado and before Alex Bregman
Yeah,
in ADP. Gunnar Henderson's current ADP is 34. Manny Machado's is 42, and Alex Bregman's is 71. But
that's crazy.
in a points league, man, like I said earlier, I'm going after those guys like Jose Ramirez that are a little bit more like well-rounded and I really think that Alex Bregman is that guy, except for the stolen bases. He doesn't steal a lot of bases, but we've seen Alex Bregman be a first round pick and
Yeah,
close, really close in MVP votes to win it back in 2018, I think it was. So Alex Bregman, dude, Alex Bregman's elite at two things. He has a 96. He's in the 96th percentile in strikeout rate at 12%. Now, MLB average, I believe, is at like 22 or 23%. And for him to be at 12%, that's cutting the strikeouts in half. Where most
yeah,
guys get 120 to 130 strikeouts per season, he's more like 70 strikeouts per season. And
yeah,
he's also 89th percentile in walk rate at 12.7%. So this guy gets on base just as good as anyone else. The batting
yeah,
average lacks a little bit. He only batted 262 last season with 25 home runs, but his plate discipline makes him a key player in points leagues. You know,
Yeah.
if we're talking category leagues, I already said earlier, I'm chasing home runs, so I'm probably going Gunnar Henderson before I'm going Alex Bregman. But you know, because we're talking about points right now, I'm definitely going Alex Bregman. Let's see that. I mean, that's basically all I really got to say about Alex Bregman. Actually, I do want to mention one thing. Now, I am a firm believer that in a contract year, these guys just step it up a notch and they play to their ceiling. So I believe this year, because Alex Bregman's coming up on a contract season, if he doesn't get an extension with the Astros, you know, in the beginning of the season, he's going to go off, man. We're going to see a higher batting average. We're probably going to see closer to 30 home runs, a lot of doubles. I believe in Alex Bregman this season, dude. I think that he's going to have a really good year. I can't say the best of his career because back in like 2019, he hit like almost 40 home runs, you know, but that was the juice ball era where everyone was hitting like 40 home runs. So I don't think he can get back to that. But I think 30 runs is definitely in the realm of possibilities for Alex Bregman this season.
He's always around that anyways, you know, between 25 and 30. Um and he plays on a great team. So he's going to get his runs. You know he's going to get on base, especially the fact that he does not strike out, as often as the next guy. but but yeah, man, Bregman, it's funny, I've never had him on any of my fantasy teams, and you know, this might be the year if I can't.
So
Yeah.
so after 2017, I saw what Bregman did to the Dodgers in the playoffs, you know, and no one knew about the sign stealing scandal at that moment. You know, we didn't find out until 2020, but that next season he was going early. He was going like a first round, and I ended up getting Alex Bregman in the first round, and I think that's the year that I won. That's the last time that I won my fantasy league. Also, is the same year that I drafted Alex Bregman when he was in the running for MVP that season.
Damn.
He was just an animal, dude.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. He's
unfortunately,
consistent, bro. He's so consistent, man.
yeah, exactly. But it took him a little while to kind of like get back to form also, because after the news came out, you know, he was having some mental issues going on also. Not as bad as Jose Altuve, as we mentioned on the second base preview, but
Yeah.
you know, he had some things going on too, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right. So next on the list, we have Gunnar Henderson. Gunnar Henderson is current ADP at 34. I don't know if I can justify taking him that early, dude. The middle of the third round. That's so early for a guy that has only played what 184 games in Major League Baseball. He played 150 games last season. You know, I get it. Rookie of the year, great. You know, and 255 batting average, 28 home runs at only 22 years old. I get it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype about this guy, but just like I said, I'm a firm believer in like contracts. These guys are going to step it up a notch. I'm also a firm believer in the sophomore slump. You know, we saw that after Cody Bellinger's MVP season, and you know, we've seen that time and time again with a bunch of different guys, a lot of rookie of the years, you know, and I'd like to get guys in their sophomore season. I prefer to go after someone that I trust a little bit more. In this instance, I'm going with Machado and Alex Bregman. Now, Gunnar Henderson is still part of this tier too. You know, he's still in the second tier for me. He's above, you know, other guys that we're going to go over in just a minute, but I still think that Gunnar has a lot to work on. The 25.6% strikeout rate is a little high. You know, it's not as high as some other power hitters out there, but he's also not really like a legit power hitter, only hitting 25 home runs. I think he could definitely hit more than that. His average exit velocity is 92 miles an hour. Max exit velocity is 113.8. Really great exit velocity numbers. The launch angle is a little bit low. 11.4 degrees. If he can raise that, you know, MLB average is 12.2. So if he can get above MLB average, if he can get to like 13, 14 degrees, I think that maybe he can, you know, break that 30 home runs territory. But
do you think that him playing in a smaller stadium has anything to do with the home runs?
Well, he's a lefty in Camden, so
And that's the longer part of the stadium, right?
it used to be, but now that they moved back left field, right field it's kind of like just like a typical ballpark now. Like
Okay.
it's not hitter friendly and it's not pitcher friendly. It's
Right.
kind of just like a neutral right in the middle. So
Right.
the ground ball percentage is a little bit high for me. MLB average is at 44.6. He's at a 45.8 last season. So I need to see him hit a little bit more line drives, not so much
Right.
on the ground, because he actually
Maybe he
does
was
have.
trying. Maybe he was trying to, because of the hype. Maybe it got to his head, and maybe he was just trying to hit the ball out the park because he struck out almost 160 times. So,
Yeah,
maybe he was trying to force it or whatever. But
possibly. And
at 22 years old, you're not really thinking about getting on base. You want to hit the fucking ball out of the park.
right,
You
right.
know.
I mean, and it worked because he did win Rookie of the Year last season.
Yeah.
Um, I think if he does cut back on the strikeouts a little bit. Oh shoot, I gotta change this name real quick. Sorry. I think if he cuts back on the strikeouts a little bit, then he has the potential to move up into that tier one.
Yeah.
The
Yeah. I
the
believe that.
262 batting average. If he cuts down on the strikeouts, he could potentially move that up to 275, 280, possibly. But dude, this dude's 22 years old. He's going to be 23 years old next season,
Yeah.
so he has lots
He's
of
a
time to
baby,
grow.
bro. He's a
Yeah,
baby.
one thing that Gunnar Henderson didn't do last season, which he very well could have, he had 10 stolen bases in 150 games, but he's 85th percentile in sprint speed. He's a fast dude. He's a
Yeah.
fast dude that hits the ball really freaking hard. Like, why aren't you running more?
I thought he was gonna be up there at least in the I want to say between 20-25 range of stolen bases, at least in his
He
first
very
season.
well could be, man. He's
Yeah.
got some fast legs. So
Yeah.
uh, I don't know what it was. Maybe the Orioles just kind of like don't really like to run so much, so they weren't sending him. But even in the
Mm,
minor leagues, man, like he didn't really run too much back then either. I guess
yeah.
because he was trying to like focus more on his power, which it
Mhm.
looks like he did good because he's hitting the ball really hard.
Yeah.
92 miles an hour exit velocity. It's just putting the ball on the ground a little too much. So he's getting those singles, he's getting those ground ball singles, and he could easily, go from first to second on a stolen base. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It has to. It's more mental than it is physical. Like he definitely
Yeah.
has the physical capabilities, but you have to you have to go for it. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. Well,
not like runs
maybe.
or RBIs that just happen. Like you
Yeah.
physically have to make an effort to steal
It
some bases.
it might be, like I said, he had a lot of hype around him before his call up. So, maybe the pressure of performing up to what he knows he can do, sometimes that kind of messes with your mind, and you try to outdo it and it just doesn't pan out. But overall, he had a really good season for it being his first, season in the majors. So, I mean, the only thing you could do now is just get better, right?
Yeah, and
You know.
and dude, the ceiling for Gunnar Henderson is out of control. With those type of exit velocities and that sprint speed, he could be a 35-35 guy. Like there's no
Yeah.
doubt in my mind that he could be a 35-35 guy. Cut the strikeout rate down a little bit, get that on base percentage a little bit up, 360-ish on base percentage, and he's going to be, mid 800s OPS with great pop and some speed.
Yeah.
Sky's the
Yeah.
limit for Gunnar Henderson.
Yep.
All right, so moving on to the next tier, Nolan Arenado, Elly De La Cruz, Josh Jung, and Royce Lewis. So in this group, honestly, for me, I have Royce Lewis next on this list. He's at the top of the list for me. Current ADP is 47. That's a little bit early for me. I don't
Yeah.
know why he's being taken earlier than guys like Manny Machado, who was what was Machado at?
Like
42. Oh no, they're about the
70.
same actually. So he's getting taken right after Manny Machado. But dude, I really like Royce Lewis, man. The
Yeah,
He just needs to stay healthy. He's been
his
plagued by
injuries. Yeah,
he's been plagued by injuries for the past couple seasons. But
I think I said this like a year ago when we were doing the podcast that he's so talented. He kind of reminds me of what's his name, the outfielder for the Twins, the one that's always injured.
oh, I know who you're talking about.
I forgot his name, but you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about, the skinny guy.
this
You know,
guy faces that. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yeah. So they remind me so much of each other, not because of the way they play, but because they're always injured and they always show you these spurts of great baseball, great hitting, great, overall defense and stuff like that. And then they get injured and you're like, man, I really want this guy for a full healthy season. You can imagine what this guy can do for your team,
Byron
So
Buxton.
that's him, Byron Buxton. So good, bro, when he's healthy, but man, he's always injured. And it's like, dude, can you just imagine what this guy can give you if he's fully healthy?
Hmm.
It's crazy. He can literally go up to that tier two, easy.
Oh yeah, for sure, easily.
Yeah,
When Royce Lewis is healthy, he's a force, dude. In
yeah,
58 games in 2023, Royce Lewis hit 15 home runs and stole 6 bases. Um, that's roughly on pace for about 40-ish home runs and 50-ish stolen bases. So he could
hmm,
legit be a 40-15 guy and really good batting average, dude. This guy batted 300 every single month that he was playing. So he's
yeah,
in the minor leagues, it was the same thing, batting 300 every single month.
yeah,
He has some crazy upside. I wouldn't be surprised to see Lewis to see Lewis run a little bit more. He stole 28 bases in 2018 and 22 stolen bases in 2019. He didn't get to play at all in 2020. Now this is where it gets a little scary. So he didn't play at all in 2020 because the minor leagues got canceled because of COVID. And
hmm,
2021, that's what's the most worrisome about Royce Lewis. In February 2021, he tore his ACL, 9-month recovery time. So he was out the whole season. So he didn't play for
yeah,
at least 2 seasons. That definitely hindered him a little bit. Made his debut in May of 2022, played 12 games, and then tore a ligament in his right knee. The same
yeah,
knee with the ACL tear. Different
yeah,
ligament, but same knee. Ended up getting season-ending surgery in May of 2022. Returned to the Twins lineup May of 2023, a full year later, and then he gets hurt again, trying to leg out a
damn,
single on a grounder. I don't know if you remember watching the video, but
sucks,
he
yeah,
tried to avoid a collision at first base. He ended up flipping over the first baseman and
yeah,
landing
yeah.
directly on
I
top of
remember.
his head. But shoot.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
remember. I remember that. That
Royce Lewis, man,
you
if
just
he can stay
wish,
healthy, I know there's a lot of players that we say that about. If they can just stay healthy, if they can just stay healthy. But Royce Lewis, man, I really like Royce Lewis, and if he can stay healthy for the whole
yeah,
season, I think he actually has like MVP potential. And
yeah, I could see that.
let's see, he is going to be 25 years old, so he has a lot of room to grow. Also, very young third baseman in the Twins lineup, and the Twins are actually pretty good too. They made it to the playoffs last season, so they're scoring
Yeah,
some runs. They're winning some games. So, next guy I want to talk about is Elly De La Cruz. Now, this one was a little bit rough for me. Did I want to go Elly De La Cruz? Did I want to go Nolan Arenado? But ultimately, I went up with Elly De La Cruz because his upside, he has more upside than anyone else in Major League Baseball. This
yeah,
guy has Ronald Acuna upside. In the minors, he
yeah,
hit 300 every single season. He also has the hardest, 3 of the hardest hit balls ever by any Reds player, and he's up there with like Giancarlo Stanton in terms of max exit velocity. He hits the ball 91.2 miles per hour on average at 21 years old last season. Dude, 21 years old, you're hitting the ball 91 miles an hour. His max exit velocity was 119 miles an hour. That's freaking crazy, man. Oh, and then get this. Get this. This surprised me a little bit because I know he's fast. 100th percentile in sprint speed. He is the fastest major league player right now in terms of sprint. This guy should be stealing 80 bases or more every single season. This guy has Ricky Henderson speed. He should not be only, let's see, what did he get? Stolen bases. 35 stolen bases, in 98 games. So that's a little bit lower than I'd like to see, but his batting average actually did lack a little bit too. He got off to a really hot start, but only 235 batting average. So he wasn't getting on first base too much, which is the problem when you're also a base stealer. 13 home runs with 35 stolen bases in 98 games. The same problem that I mentioned earlier with Gunnar Henderson, a lot of the ground ball rate. This guy is even worse, man. His let me see. His launch angle is 3.
He's trying to hit everything out the park.
Well, he keeps on getting on top of it. So he's hitting everything on the ground. 3.6 degree launch angle, even though it's coming at 100 or like 90 something miles an hour, it's on the ground and it's right to the third baseman or it's right to the shortstop. It's so bad, man. MLB average launch angle is at 12.2. His is 3.6. Now, the upside to that is even though his launch angle is 3.6, he still hit 13 home runs. Imagine if this guy raises his launch angle even just to 10 degrees. Just hit line drives. He hits the ball so hard. He could have like Corey Seager power where the line drives are where his power comes from. He doesn't have to hit the ball up in the air like super crazy high like a lot of these other guys do. Corey Seager hits 30 to 35 home runs with a very good line drive rate and a very low fly ball rate. So come on, Elly. Just
he's a big ass dude, man. I didn't realize. I didn't. Yeah, and he had a lot of strikeouts too, which is like I said earlier about with Gunnar,
you're gonna have that from a 21-year-old though.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what? If he's hitting 40 home runs, I don't care what his strikeout rate is. You increase that launch. I don't care if you're striking out almost 200 times per season because you're going to make up for that with all the runs and RBIs that you're going to give me.
Yeah.
This type of power,
like what's his name? The leadoff hitter for the Phillies.
Schwarber.
He's going to get you 40 and I don't know how many RBIs, but he's going to strike out a lot.
Yeah. And Schwarber actually has some good play discipline though. So he walks a lot. He's kind of like a Max Muncy. He'll hit 40 home runs or more, but his on base percentage is going to be like 360, which is kind of what you want from a leadoff hitter. Also, it's usually you want someone with a little bit of speed. So I'd actually like to see either Bryson Stott or Trey Turner in the leadoff spot for the Phillies. But I'm not a professional MLB manager, so not my decision. Now in MLB The Show, I definitely like to mix things up a little bit. I don't go with the lineup that they project for me. I change that up to what I think is better. But that's just being a couch manager. But anyway, with the type of speed and power that Elly De La Cruz has, he should be hitting 40 home runs with 70 stolen bases every single season. Surprisingly, even with his 100th percentile sprint speed, he was caught stealing 8 times. I don't know if that's bad jumps or if that's pitch outs or if they picked him off. I don't know what it was, but I don't know. He was on pace for 55 stolen bases, so we can count on that at least.
He'll work it out. He'll definitely work those things out. A full season, a full spring training. He's got plenty of time to work out all those things.
He's got a little bit of experience now, so they know his weaknesses. They're probably working on it now. The good thing is he is in the top of a really good Reds lineup, and I highly
Yeah.
doubt that they're gonna, you know, bench him for Spencer Steer or
Yeah.
whoever else it may be that they might want to put out there. Maybe he might need a little bit more seasoning in the minor leagues. I believe that they brought him up because they wanted to possibly have the chance of getting the rookie of the year out of Elly De La
Mhm.
Cruz, and
Yeah.
and that would have been them like the draft pick, because of the new rule changes that MLB has. But that didn't work out. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Elly De La Cruz not necessarily starts in AAA, but they might send him down just to kind of like work on the strikeouts or work on the launch angle or whatever it is that he needs to work on, you
Yeah.
know. But
Yeah.
you can't deny the potential.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, next guy on the list, Nolan Arenado. Man, this guy,
Oldie but goodie, bro. Oldie but
oldie,
goodie.
oldie, but okay. I don't really consider him a goodie anymore, man. Since being traded to St. Louis, Nolan Arenado has been on a pretty steady decline.
Hmm.
2021, he played 157 games, 34 home runs, 81 runs, 105 RBI, 255 batting average. Now, Colorado definitely did him some because the batting average was always pretty high, close to 300, but his expected batting average was usually about 260, and that's actually what he's been hitting since he joined St. Louis. So the real
Yeah.
batting average is actually right in line with his expecting batting average now that he doesn't have that thin air advantage anymore. So 2022, he played 148 games, 4 home runs less than the previous season. So he had 30 home runs in 2022, uh, 8 home runs less than eight runs less than the previous season, 2 RBI less than the previous season. And then in 2023, 144 games, 26 home runs. So another 4 home runs less, only 71 runs and 93 RBI. So that's 34, 30, and then 26, 81, 73, and 71, and then 105, 103, and 93. Just a slow decline every single season since he's been traded to St. Louis.
Mm.
The 293 batting average in 2022, it's actually a little bit
Yeah.
deceiving. Like I was saying, his expected batting average was 266, which is actually right in line with his career expected batting average. It just seems like Nolan Arenado was just taking full advantage of the Coors Field thin air, and now he's getting older, and it just seems to be he's on a steady decline every single season. I don't know how far he's going to decline, but that's the reason why I have him behind guys like Elly De La Cruz
The
and
younger guys.
Royce Lewis.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And I was
Yep.
actually
I
kind
agree.
of debating if I wanted to put him behind guys like Josh Jung and Max Muncy also.
Yeah. Like in that tier 4 section.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
He's
Yeah.
he's getting to that point. If he disappoints me one more season, he's definitely moving down to tier 4 or not even in the top 12 at all.
Yeah. 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 I mean, it's like a lot of players that, played out in Colorado. Those numbers are inflated just because of how the ball carries, out in Colorado.
Yeah.
And now you're kind of seeing what Arenado is, under normal circumstances.
Right.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
he's always been like he's like a safe pick, I want to say. Does that make sense? He's like a safe pick. Like if all these other guys, are not available to you when you're doing your draft, like I wouldn't be mad at taking Arenado, because I feel like he's a safe pick for what he
Yeah,
does.
I would still be happy if Arenado was my starting third baseman. I wouldn't put
Yeah.
him in like the corner infield kind of like tier yet.
Hmm.
But it looks like it might be getting to that point. Only
Right.
26 home runs in 2023, 71 runs and 93 RBI. He is
Yeah.
kind of saved with his plate discipline. He gets on base a lot. But other than that, man, I don't really see a lot of upside from Arenado anymore. I feel like
Yeah.
a safe floor I feel like last season is basically his floor, which is like
Yeah.
a 250 to 260 batting average with 25 to 30 home runs. I think that's safe to say
Yeah.
that that's what we're going to see from Arenado from now on. But
Yep.
don't expect to see, 30 plus home runs from this guy anymore, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's never been the type of guy to hit the ball very hard anyway. His average exit velocity from all the way back in Colorado days was around 88 miles an hour. So he's more of a contact specialist, but
Yeah.
even that's been declining lately, man. So I don't know. I was kind of like, oh man, do I
Getting
really want to put him in
he's
two,
getting
three?
older, 32. So yeah,
Yeah,
I can see that.
exactly. All right. So next guy I want to talk about is Josh Jung from the Texas Rangers. Now, I was kind of going back and forth between Josh Jung and Max Muncy. I know they kind of like both have their issues that they're dealing with, but ultimately I went with Josh Jung, third baseman for the Rangers, righty bat, current ADP at 120. I love Josh Jung, man. He's going into his age 26 season. I'm thinking we're going to see a breakout season from Josh Jung this season.
Mm.
I think he's primed for that. His barrel percentage is just off the charts. So in 2023, there's only 3 players that had a higher barrel percentage than Josh Jung. Now, that's Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Luis Arias. All 3 of those guys batted over 300, and they bat at close to 300 or higher every single season. 2 of those guys hit 30 home runs, while the other one just won the National League batting title. But that guy, Luis Arias, he doesn't hit the ball 91.8 miles per hour. He only hits it 88.3 miles per hour. Now, Josh Jung, 91.8 miles per hour exit velocity is a lot closer to Mookie Betts at 92.4 miles per hour exit velocity, and he just hit 39 home runs. And Freddie Freeman, 90 miles an hour, which is 2 miles an hour slower than Josh Jung, just hit 29 home runs. So don't be surprised if we see 30 home runs from Josh Jung this season with a really good batting average. Barrels up the ball so well, man. He hits that sweet spot and the ball just flies. We're going to see a lot of doubles, a lot of home runs, and a good batting average from Josh Jung next season. Now, the thing is, injuries have plagued the Rangers' third baseman in recent years. In 2021, he had a stress fracture in his foot, had to take some time off. February 2022, had a torn labrum in his shoulder while lifting weights, had to take some time off. And then August 2023, caught a line drive and it fractured his thumb, had to take some time off. So 3 things
unfortunate accidents. I mean,
unfortunate accident. And
yeah,
that's why he's going so late at 120. But dude, when this guy's on the field, he's freaking amazing, man.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, unfortunate, accidents like that are easily avoidable. So if he can avoid these IL stints here and there, great pick, man, great pick, and he's young, so there's a lot of upside there. 25 doubles, like you said, he hits the ball hard, easily can get you over 30. Um, but yeah, he's getting up there, man. Just the healthy thing.
Yeah. But like you said, they were just unfortunate accidents. So I don't think this is going to be like a lingering issue that we really have to worry about Josh Jung. Maybe the torn labrum, the accident that happened in the weight room, like the shoulder thing, like that's a little scary. But we'll see, because like you said, he's very young. He's only 25 years old right now, going into age 26 season. And at that age, you heal a lot faster than when you're older. All right, we got to get through the next guys a little bit quicker because we're already at an hour and 4 minutes. So moving on, next in line is Ha-Seong Kim, but we already talked about him in our second base preview. So next at number 11, we have Max Muncy. Max Muncy, I'm going to give you a timeline real quick. So he's third baseman, lefty, ADP is 129, drafted by the A's, hit free agency in 2016. Dodgers signed Muncy to a minor league deal in April 2017. 2018, Dodgers bring Muncy up to the majors, and he hits 35 home runs with 263 batting average in 137 games. In 2019, 251 batting average, 35 home runs, very similar to 2018. In 2020, the shortened season, I feel like he didn't really have he didn't really have enough time to really like get in his stride, because Muncy is the type of guy that, you know, it takes him a little while to get warmed up.
Yeah.
So in 2020, only batted 192 with 12 home runs. 2021, back to normal, 249 batting average with 36 home runs. Now, at the end of the 2021 season, Max Muncy had a very bad elbow injury. Now, I actually do have the video for this one. I'll show you guys real quick. All right, so that was a little bit sped
I remember
up.
that.
Yeah, look at the elbow, dude. Oh, that is bending in the wrong direction. If you guys are listening on Spotify, sorry you can't watch the video. You can always log on to our YouTube channel and you can watch this video. But yeah, that injury was really bad for Max Muncy. That was the end of 2021. 2022 rolls around, 196 batting average, 21 home runs. The power drops, batting average drops. 2023, last season, batting average is up a little bit and power is back to normal. 212 batting average with 36 home runs. Now, there's so much talk about Muncy going on that he's just in a decline, but really, I think it was just the elbow injury. He got his batting average up close to 20 points last season. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a typical kind of Max Muncy season next year. 250 batting average with about 35 home runs and a ton of walks. This guy walks so much. So power came back. Batting average is still slow, but he finished the season strong. In July, he had 9 home runs. In August, he batted 250 with 5 home runs. And in September, 233 with 4 home runs. You know, we saw Cody Bellinger 2 years after his injury. He played like an MVP again. You know, and now 2 years after Max Muncy's injury, we could see a Bellinger type of situation that now Max Muncy is healed. He could get back to form batting 250 with 35 home runs. And
I mean, let's hope he does it with the Dodgers, you know.
Well, the Dodgers, they obviously trust him because they just gave him a 2-year extension. And they traded Michael Busch away that was supposed to take over at third base. So Michael Busch is gone. Max Muncy is the only third base option that they have right now. You know, unless they really dig deep into their farm system or they trade for a player, but it looks like they trust Max Muncy, just like I do.
Yeah, let's hope for us Dodger fans, man, that he can get back to form. You know, but because you know we've known Muncy and what a good hitter he is, great plate discipline, and he hits bombs. So if we can get a full Max Muncy healthy, man, for Dodger fans, great.
Yeah,
even for
the
fantasy managers, dude.
The top 4 in the Dodgers lineup is already stacked, and then you add Max Muncy at number 5, dude. That's a top lineup in baseball. I mean, you know, between them and the Braves, like those are going to be the top 2, which they were last season also. But now the Braves didn't really add anything to their batting lineup. But the Dodgers have. They added Ohtani, and now they're getting potentially going to have Max Muncy back, you know, at fully healed from his elbow injury. So all right, next guy, Spencer Steer. This guy, first base, second base, third base, and outfield eligible. That is his saving grace, and that is the only reason why he is in the top 12, in my opinion. Current ADP is at 122. Last season, batted 271 with 23 home runs, 74 runs, 86 RBI, and 15 stolen bases. And that was he basically played a full season. You know, he 156 games, so he only missed 6 games last season. We've seen a few times that the Reds have a crowded infield. And outfield,
they like interchange their guys.
But with Spencer Steer, with all this eligibility that he has, playing time shouldn't really be a concern for him. So he played 156 games. That was 60 games at first base, 46 games at third base, 36 games in the outfield and 15 games at second base. So he's going to retain all those positions for next season. He also played a handful of games at DH, which really keeps him a little bit healthy, you know. I think he's only 26 years old. Yeah, he's going into his age 26 season. So put him on the field every day. You know what you're going to get. This is a 270 hitter with like 25 home runs and 15 stolen bases. So very safe, very boring, but very safe hitter. You know, he's not going to win your league, but he's going to help you in every category. He's kind of like a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I think this is basically his floor, and he doesn't really have a high ceiling. So you know what you're getting from Spencer Steer.
Right. Yep.
All right. So we finally made it through the top 12, and we're at an hour and 10 minutes real quick right now, but I just want to show you guys this real quick. All right. So prospects to watch in 2024, Junior Caminero and Noelvi Marte. Junior Caminero, third baseman on the Rays. He's a righty bat. Current ADP is 165, so close to the end of the draft. Hard to rank a guy that's only played 7 MLB games, but Junior Caminero is a top prospect at the third base position, the only third base prospect in the top 20 overall. In 2023, between AA and high A, he batted 324 with a 384 on-base percentage, a 975 OPS, 31 home runs in 117 games. Since 2021, Caminero has carried a 316 batting average, a 383 on-base percentage, and a 938 OPS. That's over 3 levels in the minors. 83rd percentile in sprint speed. So I don't know why he hasn't been running more, but that doesn't mean he won't. As we've seen the Rays, you know, they run a lot, totaling 160 stolen bases in 2023. That's 4th in MLB. So we know they like to run. Junior Caminero likes to run, obviously, because he has that sprint speed. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Rookie of the Year coming from the Rays next season in Junior Caminero.
Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about this guy. He's got power.
Oh, guess what?
He
Guess
hits
what,
for
too?
average. Oh,
I have him in our keeper league.
I hate you.
Along with Austin Riley and Manny Machado.
Yo.
So, I might
give it
have
up, bro.
I might have to trade a third baseman this year. All right. So Noelvi Marte, third baseman for the Reds. 92 games played in the minors in 2023.
Crazy.
Yeah, man. I'm saying, like, the Reds are just freaking stacked. They have too many. That's why I really think Jonathan India or Spencer Steer are going to be on their way out. They're going to trade it away.
Yeah.
They need pitching, dude. But as I said on a previous podcast, sign Trevor Bauer. He should go to Cincinnati. You know, Cincinnati needs some pitching help, and Trevor Bauer still should be considered like a top 15 or 20 pitcher still. He could be ace of the Reds. But, you know, we're talking about third base here, and we don't have a lot of time left. So 92 games played for Noelvi Marte in the minors in 2023, 11 home runs with 18 stolen bases. Good walk rate, K percentage under 20%. And in 35 games in the majors, 91.3 average exit velocity, 115.6 max exit velocity. He hits the ball really freaking hard. Lots of ground balls, though. 52.8% ground ball rate. 19% fly ball rate. That's a little bit down. I think MLB average about 23 to 24%. Line drive rate looks pretty good. Amazing upside if he can just elevate the ball a little bit more. Now, his ground ball rate is not like Elly De La Cruz, you know, with that 3.2 launch angle, but he does need to elevate the ball just a little bit more, just to maximize what we can see from Noelvi Marte.
Yeah. Damn, you know, like I said, look, another Reds player. It's crazy, man. That Reds team is very young, and there's so
very young,
much
very
upside
talented
across the
team.
board.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised 5 years from now if we're seeing the Reds in the World Series.
Yeah, that wouldn't shock me at all.
They need to build the pitching. You know, work on player development. You know, all the hitters work on player development. Get the strikeouts down. Get the launch angle up. Let's hit some home runs. In the best hitters park for home run hitters. You know, there's more home runs in Cincinnati than any other ballpark, and you know, even more than Coors. So it's a better home run ballpark than any other MLB stadium. And dude, they have the lineup. They just need the pitching staff. So work on that.
I agree.
All right, that was it for our third base preview. Thank you guys for enjoying the show. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And again, scan that QR code in the top right corner of your screen. It'll take you to all of our social medias. Please like, subscribe, follow, all that stuff. And next week, we will be back talking about the shortstop position, our shortstop preview. And, you know, if you guys have any questions, you can always reach us on any of our social media sites and ask us questions on there. You can say it in the comments here, or, you know, someone will get back to you pretty quickly. We're usually pretty good about that. Oh, one more thing. We are adding 2 more teams to our fantasy league, our keeper team. So, do you have what it takes? 12 teams with keepers, head-to-head points, and a cash prize. Real Talk Fantasy Baseball. So if you guys want to join our league and play with the best, hit us up. You know, send us a message, and we will eventually get our raffle going, and 2 people will be selected to get into our keeper league. All right, that was it for our third base preview. Javi, I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you for everyone that was watching. Again, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We are trying to grow as fast as we can. We're trying to reach 600 by the end of this season. I know we can do it. We're at like 535, 536, something like that. So
yeah, let's get it.
We appreciate all of our subscribers and everyone watching it. And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you, guys.
Later, y'all.